Hello, passengers, co-pilots, shotgun callers, blunderbuss bellowers, and midnight riders. Welcome to another episode of Full Moon Empty Road. As always, I'm Jeremy, and I'll be your driver tonight. And also, before we get started, I'm in a different recording place today, and so if you hear any cat whining or anything like that, I can't really get away from them to the point that I can, record. And it did decide to start storming the second I hit record on this thing, so maybe have a little bit of nice little ambient noise in the background too. Anyway, hope everyone had a great week, and I hope you're ready for another road trip. We are headed up north today to St. Paul, Minnesota, to the Wabasha Street Caves. So get in, buckle up, grab the rock salt, and let's ride. We have work to do.
My compass, the stars my guide. The shadows stretch long where secrets hide.
And while we are headed there, I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to everyone for checking out today's episode. If you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find me at the following places. That is Full Moon Empty RD on Twitter, Full Moon Empty Road on TikTok, and FMER Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Feel free to drop in, follow along and say hi. Now, if you'd like to support the podcast, listener support is owned on Spotify and Spotify for podcasters. You can head over to Bonfire and pick up a shirt or a hoodie since, winter's coming. Tank top, hat, notebook, or coffee mug. You can drop a tip in the Patreon or Good Pods tip jar, or you can buy me a coffee. All links are in the About section on YouTube and in the description. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and it looks like we are here. So, welcome to the Wabasha Street Caves. Let's go look around. So, the caves are actually man-made sandstone mines carved from silica-rich St. Peter sandstone, and that was around the 1840s and 1850s. It was originally exploited to extract silica for glass production. The mines soon found new life when a French immigrant, Albert Mouchot, discovered the ideal conditions for farming mushrooms, reportedly becoming the first underground commercial mushroom farm in the U.S. around 1899. His daughter Josie and her husband William Lamont continued the operation, even renting parts of the cave system for cold storage, including aging Land O'Lakes cheese. Now, during the 1920s, Prohibition Era, St. Paul became a haven for gangsters thanks to an unofficial agreement with Police Chief John J. O'Connor. As long as they kept their criminal activity out of the city, they were tolerated inside of it. The Lamonts leveraged this underground charm by opening a speakeasy within the mines. It became legendary. Stories tell of visits by infamous figures like John Dillinger, Ma Barker, and Babyface Nelson, though I think he preferred the name George Nelson, if you've seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Or Oh Brother, I can't say it, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Though some of these remain more lore than documented fact. Now, on October 26, 1933, as Prohibition ended, the speakeasy transformed into the elegant Castle Royal, or Castle Royale, a restaurant nightclub featuring big band music, dancing, and cuisine, all for about $1 per meal. Imagine that today, $1 per meal for all of that. That's unheard of, as in non-existent. Now, there was a CBS Minnesota piece that highlighted that one longtime tour guide stating that Dillinger actually visited the place. He was, saying, Dillinger, I can prove. And he notes the remains of bullet holes in the fireplace from an alleged gangster shootout, and that was about 100 years ago. The shootout, not the CBS piece. Now, the nightclub closed around World War II, with the Le Mans reverting again to mushroom cultivation post-war. After 1965, the cave operations dwindled. The family sold the site and moved their business elsewhere. The caves were then used sporadically for storage, experienced flooding and fires, and even fell into bankruptcy and near abandonment. But not all was lost. A brief disco era revival in the 1970s attempted to bring the nightlife back. Get some disco fever going down in the mines. But that eventually faded, as disco did, and the caves again faced neglect and physical risk. Now, fortunately, restoration efforts succeeded. Today, the caves are a vibrant entertainment venue, offering historical tours, themed experiences like murder mystery tours, and notably a weekly swing night featuring live big band music from the likes of Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, and Duke Ellington. And I, of course, assume that they mean, it does state live big band music, but I'm assuming it's people who are covering, Dorsey, Miller, and Ellington, because they've all been dead for quite a while. In fact, Duke Ellington was the most recent one that died in 1974, and I believe he's living in a kid's attic as a ghost, singing songs and giving advice these days. Now, the site is also promoted as the only remaining restored gangster-era site in St. Paul, a blended history, intrigue, and musical nostalgia. Now, beneath the glamour lies a bit of a darker history. Multiple deaths occurred within the caves over the years. Deaths by suspected carbon monoxide poisoning. That was listed to be two teenagers in 1992, 3 in 2004. Drowning, fire, and even cave collapse have caused, deaths within the caves. And today, some entrances are blocked or marked with warnings by the city, acknowledging both the rich history and the real risks within the deeper passages. So, start having people go in there and get killed, you kind of, I guess not necessarily get killed, unless a ghost gangster was in there just, see, bang. But as for Hauntings, because that is where we're going to wrap up the history of the place, just a little thing of note: history does leave more than facts behind. Sometimes it leaves whispers, shadows, and echoes that refuse to fade. Beneath St. Paul's bluffs, the Wabasha Street Caves are celebrated for gangsters and big band music, as mentioned before. But just as often, they are remembered for something a little bit colder. A lingering chill, a fleeting shadow, the sense of being watched in the darkness. We're going to step away from the history now and into legend and explore the hauntings of the Wabasha Street Caves. To start out, there are stories of gangster ghosts, and perhaps the most famous story dates back to the gangster era of the 1930s. Guides will point you to the grand fireplace inside the main cave and invite you to look closely. Embedded in the stone, they say, are bullet holes, evidence of a mob shootout that ended in blood. According to legend, 3 gangsters were executed there, their bodies removed through a secret passage. The official records? Nothing. No reports, no evidence of a crime. But visitors often swear they feel uneasy in that room, as if the dead are still watching. Some claim to hear phantom gunshots. Others describe faint music stopping suddenly, as though the band itself had paused to acknowledge something sinister. Whether true or imagined, the story of the three men in the fireplace has become one of the cave's most enduring ghost tales. There's also mention of a white lady, another figure said to wander the caves, and she is simply known as the White Lady. Described as a woman in a flowing pale gown, she drifts silently through the corridors, often vanishing when approached. Some say she was a patron of the Castle Royal who met a tragic end during a gangster dispute. Others believe she was a young woman who worked in the mushroom farms and never left. No one knows her name, but countless guests on ghost tours and private events alike have spoken of sudden cold drafts or glimpses of a woman who wasn't there moments before. For some, the White Lady is the truest ghost of the caves. Not all hauntings belong to the gangster years. The caves have been the site of tragedy. In 1992, as mentioned before, 2 teenagers exploring the tunnels died of carbon monoxide poisoning. In 2004, 3 more were lost to the same way. And there have been drownings, fires, even collapses. Tour guides sometimes suggest that these deaths too have left their marks. Strange orbs of light have been captured in photographs. Some staff members claim to hear voices calling their names when no one else is present. A few even refuse to enter the deeper tunnels alone. In one chilling account, musicians packing up after a swing night swore they heard applause echoing in the empty ballroom long after the guests had gone. Today, the Wabasha Street Caves embrace their haunted reputation. Ghost tours weave history with mystery, recounting the legends of gangsters and restless spirits. Some visitors come for the jazz, others, for the thrill of standing where bullets may have once flown. But many come for the chance, however slim it may be, of encountering the unexplained. Skeptics will tell you these are just stories, both from dim lights, eerie acoustics, and fertile imaginations. Believers will remind you that history leaves scars, and sometimes those scars echo louder underground. Either way, the caves remain a rare place where fact and folklore meet, and where the past feels unusually alive. So whether it's the laughter of partygoers, the music of long-gone big bands, or the cold silence of the White Lady, the Wabasha Street Caves invite us to wonder. What if the past never really leaves us? What if it lingers, waiting in the dark for us to listen? Step carefully, for you never know which echoes belong to history and which belong to the ghosts. Alrighty, that was the Wabasha Street Caves in St. Paul, Minnesota. I want to thank you all so much for coming along on this road trip today. And again, if you would like to follow the podcast on social media, you can find me at FMER Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, Full Moon Empty Road on Twitter, Full Moon Empty Road on TikTok, and Full Moon Empty RD on Twitter. If you would like to support the channel, head over to Bonfire. Links are in the description. Links are in the About section on YouTube. And, pick up some Full Moon Empty Road merch. Glad to be back yet again. I've been working on the next story in the Wicker Saga. But this week I was like, I kind of want to get a history and hauntings out. I haven't gotten one out in a while. So, kind of did some digging and was like, well, let's go with this. These caves actually sound pretty cool. So, feel free to give a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop a comment, let me know how you're doing, let me know how you enjoyed the episode, and, thanks for dropping in. Now, let's go home.